All right. Hello, and welcome back to the Thought Cloud podcast. Our goal with this conversation is to uncover a hidden gem that can inspire others along their academic journey. Our guest today is Jevon Torres. Jevon is a junior at the University of Southern California, USC, where he is studying computer science and business administration. And Jevon is now the president of the National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE, on USC's campus. Jevon, we are so excited to have you on. We're excited to hear about your story, hear about everything that you've been up to. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to, walk a little bit through my journey and then just talk about how we've been able to see some student impact on our campus.
100%, 100%. So, first of all, how did you decide to study at USC?
Sure. So, I end up getting asked this question a lot just because I'm originally from New Jersey. So, all the way across the country, it sort of
Okay.
invites a lot of questions about a decision like that. But when I first started researching schools, maybe freshman, sophomore year of high school, I knew the kinds of things that I was academically interested in, which was primarily computer science, and as a secondary point, business. But thirdly, as like more of a hobby, cinematic arts. So as I'm looking through those three things, USC was really the perfect option where I'd be able to primarily study my computer science and business things through a little joint major program that we have through the engineering school, but also explore that hobby through the best cinematic arts school in the country. So through the past 2 years, I've really had a great opportunity to explore my academic interests as well as the things that I just want to keep going as a hobby. But that alongside some great weather and some incredible people. But um,
100%. 100%. That's super cool. Yeah, they do have a great film school there, an unbelievable film school. And that's really neat that you have all three of those combos. I didn't realize it was computer science, business, and
Oh,
cinema.
the cinema's been a few classes that I've gotten to add on to the coursework there, but yeah, primarily computer science and business have been where that's my major and what the coursework has been mostly through. But one of the great things about USC is that you can really have the flexibility to add anything on to your schedule. I know I didn't quite know this until I started talking to other students at other schools, but um, at other places, advisors are really the ones that are like choosing your courses and
Mhm.
making your schedule. But there's almost complete flexibility and freedom with the SC way the courses work.
Wow.
So if you want to throw in a course like sailing I took last semester or like hacking course, Photoshop, anything that you just want to like throw in there, you're more than welcome to, and that freedom really is exciting.
That's super cool. Wow, wow, wow. So why computer science and business as your main focus? Why you said you've had that passion kind of early on, but how did that strike you initially?
Yeah. I feel like I have somewhat of the typical engineering kid story of just always like to tinker, Legos, computer, things like that. But as I started to, I guess, have the opportunity to take some computer science courses through high school, I really saw that like it was computer science was a way that I could be creative, and still be able to like explore a lot of other things like entrepreneurship, um, and I mean, really, the options are limitless in terms of once you have that tool of the programming knowledge and software development, you can apply it to so many different fields that I've always been an indecisive person. I knew that if I had this strength or this ability in my back pocket, I could really go many different places with it. Um, but really, just the fact that I could exercise my creativity and I was having a good time doing some coding, which is, I guess, a little surprising, but good thing to have when you're a computer science major.
No, 100%, 100%. So you said it, you're a little indecisive. I think everyone is going through the college years and trying to figure out exactly what they want to do. And it's good to leave those doors open and like,
Yeah,
you
which
know,
is why I threw business on there as well. Is yeah.
So do you know kind of do you have an idea of where you want to head with it? Is it startup scene? Is it industry with corporate? Or are you, still playing with it in your head? What are your thoughts?
I'm really not quite sure. And as I kind of touched on, part of that reason why I even chose this major was the fact that it left me a lot of options. Didn't really pigeonhole me into one place too much. And like you said, I really am focused probably between those three things: industry, startup, or back to academia.
Mhm.
Um, I know our school has a very great progressive degree program, they call it, where you can sort of finish up your undergraduate degree at the same time you're starting your master's program
Oh,
and
cool.
get out of there in a shorter period. So I think that's maybe where I'm leaning
Yeah.
in terms of that's the option I like the most out of the rest of them. It's still not majority anything, and still some time to decide. But I think that's a great opportunity. Wrap up some education, get some extra foundation in computer science and within engineering, and then go from there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I've heard that track before with a couple of friends, and it really puts them in a great position going to that workforce. Like
Oh,
you
absolutely.
have
Yeah.
that master's degree under your belt, and it only took you a little bit longer than,
Yeah. Yeah.
your undergrad. So super cool if you can do that or decide to do that. What do you think you're most excited for with the future of what your, path is? Like in terms of this computer science, business, cinema, all this mixture.
Yeah, I think I mean, what I've seen through, I guess, some of the internships I've done, some of like my parents' work is that I might want to end up in the consulting space,
Hmm.
where I'm one sort of working for myself and getting to do the kind of projects that I like to do, but also the kind of thing where I can do different projects, do things that are stretching different parts of my brain and different parts of my interests, because feel like I've picked up a decent amount. I feel like it'd be cool to sort of go that private consulting route where I can take those hobbies and make some money off them at the same time as using that CS knowledge to keep things going.
Totally, totally, totally. I love how you've put, this whole puzzle together in a way that's fitting you. I think that's awesome. I think,
Almost. I won't say things are completely
well,
fit, but
the
I can
options
say
are open. The options are open.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's the most valuable thing. Well, talk to us about your involvement in NSBE. So, how did you decide to join NSBE?
sure. So I just brought up my parents in the past sentence here, but my mom was undergraduate engineer, went to the University of Virginia, and as I was getting closer, actually, honestly, before even high school age, the whispers of Nesby were in my ear.
Oh,
She was
really?
a big member in at her university. She was president for I believe the last 2 years.
Wow.
Um, Ended up winning national chapter of the year. So all these accolades that I would hear about every once in a while because it was such a big involvement for her. Um, and as I was getting older, I would start to participate in little community service events or just things that the Nesby either chapters in my area or her old chapter were hosting. And even from there, I could see the impact that Nesby as a national organization as well as the university chapters, the impact that they were having on their students, on professional engineers, on kids, even with like the whole Nesby Junior perspective on things. And from there, I realized that no matter where I was going to end up for college, I was going to join the Nesby chapter, and if
Yeah.
they didn't have one, I was going to start one. So it was it was going to a decent component of my decision, but I knew that no matter where I was going to, it was going to be part of my path. So, I mean, with that sort of knowledge and that decision already made, once I chose USC, I pretty much as soon as I could just found the information for Nesby and tried to tried to become a part of it as soon as I could.
That is super cool. Wow, I love the history behind that. I think that adds even more depth to your story, which is awesome. How would you say that your time during college, actually even before, because you have been involved so much, how has this organization provided so much or provided clarity in your direction in terms of how you want to give back to your community or how you want to engage with it?
Sure. I guess I would say before college in two ways. One being just the community service aspect. It's a community service is such a strong piece of the National NSB mission, and I could see that from a young age. I'd be doing volunteering with like food drives or putting back to school kits together, things like that, where it's just members from all ages of the community coming together to really to help out. So I really like that strong community service aspect.
Mhm.
And from the other point, I guess number two here would just be that I really felt like with this network of black engineers that I saw a path for myself in the future. So I was doubting a little bit if engineering was too hard, if I would fit in, if just the typical doubt that comes up of your future.
Mhm.
Um, and before high school, before college, I was had the opportunity to talk with NSBE alum, current NSBE members, and really found out that one, it's hard, but it's not as hard as I made it out to be. And also the fact that there is a support system for me, no matter where I would end up, either in the NSBE chapter that I would join, or again NSBE at a national within the national organization. So really, it was the support and the service that really drew me in, and I could see the impact from it at an early point.
100%, 100%. Well, let's talk about that impact on campus. Like, what do you see with students that are new, maybe to even knowing what NSBE is, or just getting involved during their first couple of years on campus? How do you see the organization impacting them?
Sure. I think as you mentioned, just being new to NSBE, it sort of reminds me of the fact that a lot of a lot of students and a lot of black engineering perspective majors are new to engineering. So they have some are very unsure of what their major is. Some are even undecided in engineering. I'm sure some are have that focus that they want to go through with, but everyone has those doubts about, is this major right for me? Is engineering right? And that's one of the points where I see NSBE making a big impact. As upperclassmen have already sort of made their way through that doubt stage a little bit, and figured out their path and the things that they've gone through. I think that that's a really great way that we can help out. So I'm a computer science major. I took these courses. This is what I've seen. This is how it's gone. My friend is a mechanical engineer. So once you have upperclassmen in the group that have covered the whole entire engineering school,
Right.
you can address any questions, any concerns, and really help make sure that students are going in that right path academically, as well as professionally. So in terms of just like figuring out who they are, what you should be doing. And that goes on an academic standpoint. That goes on just a cultural standpoint of what it's like to be, I mean, at our chapter, what it's like to be a USC Trojan, what it's like to be a black Trojan, and just really, I would say, having role models to look up to, whether it's academic, professional, and cultural.
Definitely. No, I think that that's great how many facets you can touch on to help somebody feel welcomed. And anyone coming onto a campus for the first time is going to feel out of place.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you guys to be able to really supplement on all levels there, I think is just, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you have a big year coming up this year because you are president. First year as president, correct?
Yes. Yeah. First year.
What are you most looking forward to in this first year? Is this the
Sure.
only year? Is it a 1 year term? How does it work?
So well, the terms are 1 year. I have 2 years left in school, so if I were to run again, I'd have that opportunity. But
Mhm.
I guess the things that I've been really looking forward to, and sort of what I was pushing as I was getting ready to run, going through that process, was I wanted to get us as a chapter closer to the national mission of NSBE, which is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers that succeed professionally, excel academically, and positively impact the community. So there's those three facets of community service, academic success, as well as professional excellence,
Mhm.
and that's really where I want to focus. And I think it's a pretty, I would say, easy way to sort of plan things out. Of I want to get more involved in the greater LA community,
Yeah.
getting students really to feel like they are a part of that community and they're helping out where they can. In terms of academics, sort of the things we talked to earlier of making students really feel like they fit into their major, giving tutoring opportunities, really just making sure that our engineers are feeling like they're academically at a high standard and a great point. And then succeeding professionally, and that comes in terms of bringing companies in that are giving opportunities for internships or new grad roles, and really preparing our students for that process, whether it's the interviews, crafting your resume and cover letters in the correct way, and networking. So those 3 points are what I structured things towards. Other than that, I'm really excited to network with some of the other. We have this office of the Center for Engineering Diversity within USC, the engineering school, and some of those other groups like SHIP for Hispanic professional engineers, and Quest, which is I believe it's like the LGBTQ plus community of engineers. Really networking with all of them, as really we all push a very similar mission for just different communities. So have some exciting ideas for how we can socialize and really build a greater community. And
I lost you there for a second.
I'm just looking forward to a lot of things. Yeah,
We can chop that part up. But
yeah.
no, definitely, definitely. That sounds like you've got a lot on your plate for this next year. What do you think some of the biggest challenges are going to be? And obviously, you got to love a good challenge as a leader, but what do you think some of the things are that you're ready to tackle?
Yeah. I guess one piece, and this sort of hits at that professional success piece, is bringing companies in to talk to our students and making sure that one, we have companies that are coming in, and two, that they're actually providing value to our students as well as opportunities. So, I mean, this summer has been a lot of myself and the e-board really reaching out to our networks and companies that are interested to try and see who can come in and really talk to our organization, and really develop like long-lasting relationships with those companies to
Definitely.
help out and give announcements, give information, and really want to help push our mission. So
100%.
that's been one struggle. It's hard to you know how networking is, you know how
Right.
just
Yeah, you
reaching
got
out
to
to anyone
keep up
is.
with it. And is it the sustainable aspect that you talked about? You said sustainable relationships. Is that difficult? That aspect of making sure that it's a continual thing year in, year out. Have you noticed that in the past?
Yeah, I think that the sustainable relationships are the best ones.
Mhm.
When you can create that partnership where it's, hey, last year we did this, and we want to try this instead,
Yeah,
and really over building that long term relationship just has many benefits. But that comes after actually making those initial connections. So I would say both making initial connections in terms of just let's get the ball rolling, as well as sort of through the year, at the end of the year, making sure that we people want to come back, and we give them a reason to come and help out again.
totally. Totally, totally. Well, that's exciting. I mean, you definitely have the wherewithal to make sure that all of this happens. You've been around this organization since when did you say you started being around this organization?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of USC NSBE, I joined my freshman year as soon as I could. In terms of virtually joining because of COVID, those first two semesters for me. But joining the Zooms and really meeting the members through our general meetings online was how I got connected. But first year on campus was last year, and then that was when I got to meet a lot of these people in real life and really strengthen those connections.
That's awesome. And then when you were before college, when did you say you were initially introduced to NSB? Just forever?
Yeah, I couldn't really put a number on it, because I each time I sort of think about this and get asked this question, the number that I realize gets earlier and earlier. Because I know, like, in high school I vividly remember like doing different
Mhm.
community service things or like hackathons or things like that. And then I'll see a picture of myself in like a Nesby shirt from when I was like 5 years old,
Oh
and
my
I
goodness.
realize, okay, yeah, this was a lot before even I could remember things. So yeah, it's been a lifelong commitment, I would say.
That's awesome. Well, Jevon, we're going to take a quick little break and we are going to hop right back into it. How does that sound?
Sure, sounds great.
All right, so we are back. We were just talking with Jevon about everything he's been able to do at USC's campus, his path with computer science business, the doors he has open, and all that he's been able to experience being a member of NSBE and all the impact that they've been able to make, as well as everything they've been looking forward to in this next year. So we're going to end it out now with our rapid fire round. So, Javon, the first question for you is, what is the most stressful part of being a student day in and day out?
Sure. I would just say having to put on different hats, as I'll call it, for different involvements and things on campus, whether it's like leader of this organization or a more of a quote unquote follower in this one.
Mhm.
Really putting on the different hats to give that different perspective.
Definitely. That's an interesting take. That's really cool. Next question. What is the most meaningful way for students to help each other?
Ooh. I would say unselfishly like forwarding opportunities. I think that like gatekeeping is selfish and very harmful towards connections and really fostering a community. So if students are really sharing opportunities that come their way, whether it's something that, oh, I'm interested in this, you should check it out, or hey, this isn't for me, but I think it's for you, those really are impactful in a lot of ways.
Definitely. 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 That for jobs and student orgs and
Yep, yep. Really anything, but yeah, especially professional opportunities and things on campus. But it could be anything like there's a little get together happening here and I can't go, things
right.
like that. So anything,
Right.
yeah.
Totally. Okay, next question. What is your biggest hope to accomplish during your time on Earth?
Sure. I think when I get this question, I want to answer it by saying that I want something named after me. I don't know
I
what it
love
would be.
that.
That's the short answer. But I mean the deeper meaning of that is just I want to have some lasting impact somewhere that I'll be remembered by people that didn't even know me. The easy way to answer that is saying if I could get something named after me in some fashion, I think that'd be a good way to make sure that that impact is actually measured.
That's awesome. I love that's a really cool way to put that. Definitely. Next question. What would you say your top piece of advice is for those who are early in their educational journey?
Get involved in as much as you can, from as soon as you can. I know that some people it might seem overwhelming or it might seem like you're going to be doing too much. If you start with a lot, there's always room to cut things out, and you would have much rather had a bunch from the beginning and delete things than try to catch up and get involved in things later. So I would just say get involved in as much as you can as possible and trim down as time goes on.
Totally. Totally. I think that's, I mean, wonderful advice. You missing out on the other side of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, no, wonderful. Well, Jevon, you've been full of great insights here and you've shared so much about your story. Thank you so much. Where can people follow what you're doing and learn more about you and stay active and stay up to date with what you're up
Sure.
to?
I'm working a little bit on my personal brand here. I feel like I don't share enough about what I got going on, but I think in the future I really want to push things on my LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is just my name, Jevon Torres, and I have a little bit of content there aside from my accomplishments, but working on getting some more stories and anecdotes pushed out there.
100%. We'll go give him a follow, Jevon Torres on LinkedIn. Jevon, I'm super excited to see what you're able to do this year and in the years to come. We're gonna get that whatever it is named after you someday. I'm sure of it. Well,
Thank
thank you
you,
for being
thank
a
you,
guest today.
thank you. Great conversation. It was great to speak with you.